Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Gray Area here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, simulcasting on the Sparta HQ Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always,
Sparta!
the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Panayotis. Yasu, my brother, what is going on?
What is going on, my man? How are you tonight?
A little breathing a little easier. Once again, my Steelers almost gave me a heart attack with like less than a minute left in the game. It was an odd ending to the game. We thought we had the game wrapped up with about 8 minutes left, and we were up 2 scores. And Detroit comes down, boom, boom, and they have the ball the last drive. We miss a field goal, which is rare. We got one of the best kickers ever. He misses a field goal. They go down with an opportunity to actually win the game. So it's just like all I wanted this Christmas was just a nice, easy win where we kind of wrap up the game, 5 minutes left. You can take your starters out and just chill. But unfortunately, we could never have an easy win. So again, I'm stressing out like the whole time and whatnot. But again, we got the victory, and I'll take it. A win is a win. But certainly appreciate this Sunday. But yeah, but it's like every week it's like I just can't take it easy.
It comes
But
towards the end of the season. You know how end of the season is. It's they start getting hurt. They start getting burned out. All this stuff happens. I gave up on the Jets already. They're done for the season.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to BMU for checking in with us again. Spot, I hope you're feeling better. And thanks for asking. I'm doing great, but Peter, obviously, he's in his second week as a new pet parent. Again, we had I thought, a very cathartic show. I really thought that we needed to go there because I knew initially when I brought it up, I don't know if you were like a little bit hesitant at first, but I said, look, we need to do
No,
this.
I was gonna mention to you I wanted to do that show anyway. I was determined to come back on the air Sunday, no matter rain and shine, emotional, non-emotional, death or alive. I was gonna be back on the air no matter what.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
knew
But I wanted to do that specific show, like on grieving, pet loss and whatnot. I thought that was just very because we could have took because we got gray area shows like lined up in terms of we could have just went with the next show and just kind of played it off. But I
I didn't
wanted
want to do that.
yeah,
Like I told you in our text message, yes, you did a tribute episode for yourself for Alex, but I had to do one for me.
yeah.
It was part of my closer to talk about it. It did help a lot talking about it. Um, I still miss the little guy. Even today, Apollo is set in front of my door. Like Alex is just the exact same way, just different dog.
Mhm.
He's both of Eagles. They set the exact same way, lay down, and he was looking at me like Alex. He's just gonna be a little emotional,
Mhm.
and like I do miss the guy. It's rough. I'm still trying to process it. I just got a phone call yesterday that his remains will be home Tuesday or Wednesday, the latest.
Mm.
So that is going to be a little emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm
Um,
sure.
me
Sure.
crying a match over him is not as much anymore.
Mhm.
I still have a moments that I still cry a little bit, but not as much. Apollo has helped me emotionally more than anything you can think of
Yeah. Yeah.
because he's taking my focus from grieving to training, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
No, for sure, for sure. And that was a topic of the conversation last week. Also, I know shout out to our guy King who was in the building last week. He was talking about, do you might want to take some. I know some people when they grieve, they want to take some time off
Mhm.
and not have
I did speak to King
another
actually.
dog or whatever. Yeah, I'm saying that's a different philosophy of whatnot. I'm saying you could have
Yeah,
went in that direction, but you chose to, just walk into a new relationship like that and use that as part of your therapy to kind of, help to get over Alex. So again, I can understand a person going either way. And I'd like to say I've known dog owners who the pain of losing dog was such where they just could never bring themselves to own a dog again, even though you know that their lifespan is it's not like they're with you for life. But
yeah.
certainly
So
I can
Alex
understand that.
is going to leave a mark on my life because he wasn't just like Hercules. He wasn't just like Goldie. He's not like Apollo. He was a very unique dog in every shape, way, or form. He was a very gentle dog. He was he had his hyper moments, the zoomies like they say, and then he had his moments. He just wanted to jump on the couch and chill with me and hang
Sure.
out.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt.
And
No
there
doubt.
were times that he just wanted to play. It was very hard to explain how Alex's personality was. One
Mhm.
thing I will say, whoever met Alex, he left a mark on their lives.
No doubt. No doubt.
And everybody who's hearing this was like shocked. Like Alex was fine.
Mhm.
That's the problem.
Mhm.
He was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, and that's going to be hard in any case when you have a healthy individual. In fact, I just heard a good friend of ours just found out that he had actually he's a friend of a friend, but we've been to his house several times and just
Mhm.
found out that he's got a very aggressive cancer that he's dealing with. And just I was just kind of blown away because I literally his birthday was just a couple days ago. I gave him a belated shout out, and then my wife told me later on about his condition. So I was very kind of moved by that. But yeah, you never know when things are going to happen at any time. Health is our greatest asset, and
And our enemy too.
yeah, unfortunately. But certainly, if you guys coming in tonight, I saw early in the chat, Mariana Constantine, always a big supporter of the channel. Thank you for being here tonight. Braxton, the Snake Fiend, certainly in the house tonight. My man Eric is certainly in the certainly in the building tonight. Then we got some other folks here. Lucy 9130. Appreciate you being here tonight as well. Carlos Vargas in the building tonight. I appreciate you guys being here. Just make sure when you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button. Certainly when you come in, certainly really helps the algorithm in the show. Again, make sure you go to each channel, the Sparta HQ network, as well as the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Definitely make sure you hit the like button there, and also consider being a subscriber because BMU Network, as well as Sparta HQ Network, we have content throughout the week. So we have different shows, different themes, different formats that cover a variety
Mhm.
of topics. I know the Wednesday sports show, which I'll be next on the Black Man Unfiltered Network on Wednesday. So we got a lot of NFL to talk about. So again, if you're a really diehard NFL fan, sports fan in general, we'll be chopping it up certainly this coming Wednesday night. 8 p.m. on the Black Men Unfiltered Network for Sparta HQ. We got a show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We got Saturday. We just did a show last night on his channel dealing with retro spectacle and I Love Lucy. It was one of the first major shows to come out in the 50s. And I grew up watching I Love Lucy, so we had a good time chopping it up about that. But
That was a good show. I admit it. That was a really good show. I actually enjoyed that one. Like that was a good one of the good shows to end the year for us.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want to give you a little update on Paulo too, because the little shit has tested my patience lately. So I know you made a comment about my beard. The reason the beard got chopped off, to be honest with you, the first couple of days he used to grab my beard, hang on to it, and wave, go back and forth. After 4 or 5 times, I'm like, fuck this shit. This is painful. So I buzzed it off for that reason.
It's a very smart dog.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
Thank you, Apollo. Appreciate you already. I'm liking this. I can't wait to meet you in the near future. But just quickly again, you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen, Black Man Unfiltered Cash App, so that you can drop a contribution there or a super chat to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. You can certainly give contribution there. And then also we have our own Cash App, so we'd appreciate any support that you want to give to us personally. You can certainly go here to our individual Cash Apps. And again, we'd appreciate it on that also. But let's get into this tonight. I was as I was aiming up for the show, I actually this was something that was kind of stirring in me some time back, and we kind of touched on it a little bit when we talked about the culture show. How is it that are you a part of a culture, or are you just just an individual? And we had a good conversation about how do our culture sometimes hold us back sometimes, but this one I kind of want to have a greater in-depth discussion on the topic, and I really want to focus this show this idea of freedom versus responsibilities. And one quote that I saw a while back, and I didn't know what show to put it in, so I figured it'd be good to put it here. This is a quote from Soren Kierkegaard. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Kierkegaard was a Danish philosopher, theologian, poet, social critic, and he's considered widely to be the first existential philosopher. And one of his famous quotes is that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. And I was watching it was a commentator on CNN. he had dropped the quote first, and then I looked it into a little bit, and I wanted to kind of explore it further. And I was thinking about how, in at least in this country, now again, people can be critical of the country when it comes to things that are going on, but we relatively live in a free society, all things considered. Most of us, we can kind of go and have our being. It's not like when you're in the former Soviet Union where you had to have a checkpoint to go from one place to another. You have the right to kind of travel as you will. I mean, yes, you need documentation now with flying. You need real ID and whatnot, but generally, you're living in a relatively free moving society. And but despite that, I'm seeing a lot of people who have a lot of stressors and a lot of anxiety over life, shiftless, purposeless in life, even though you have this freedom. And you probably have more freedom. Like I know my kids now probably have more freedom today than certainly I did, or the parents that certainly came before me for a variety of reasons. Whether it be systemic racism or segregation, slate, whatever the issue is, they have a lot more freedoms than I do today. But they still deal, each one of them in their own way, with a lot of anxiety. They all, because of their personalities, they all express it differently. And you ask the question sometimes, well, why are you stressing so much about things that at the end of the day, and my wife and I, we shake our heads sometimes, because it's like at the end of the day, does it really matter? The things that you're stressing over, I mean, at the end of the day, what's it to you to be so petty over things? But I'm seeing a lot more of that in young people today, and just younger generations, period. So I wanted to kind of explore this topic tonight. But I want to kind of get just with your opening salvo, what is your thought on this quote? What does this get you thinking about? Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. That freedom, some people put it another way, freedom isn't free. And so, I want to get your opening salvo on that. Before you go, I got Craig. Shout out to Craig being in the building tonight, all the way from the UK. Always in the building. Appreciate your support as always, and everything. And enjoyed having you on the show last night. Talk about I Love Lucy, and I hope you go back and certainly get a chance to watch a lot of the episodes. And if you hear something on the background, my dog is literally scratching scratching the sofa next to me right here. So that if you're hearing that sound, that's kind of what's going on. But what's your opening thoughts on this?
I'm not processing this one because anxiety is distance of freedom. I don't agree with that 100%
Okay.
because my personal experience, I do suffer from anxiety. It's not freedom. It's usually suffocating because you have so much things going on at once. Like you have bills coming up, you have things going on with mom. Obviously, Alex passing, training a new pup, working over women. There's a lot of things.
Mhm.
I don't believe anybody's free. The saying you say freedom isn't free, I agree on that statement more because you can't be free because you have to give something up to get the freedom. Like use our troops, for example. They sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice for us to have the freedom of speech.
Mhm.
But that freedom of speech is not given just like that. Something
Mhm.
has to be sacrificed to earn that freedom.
Mhm.
To even myself as a Greek American, I had struggles. Same as you, Paul. Some were very similar. Like I've been slammed against a police car multiple times because, oh, why are you have the window tinted? Because I like my windows tinted,
Mhm.
or because there because my exhaust was too loud, or whatever the case is. Every stupid reason you can think of.
Mhm.
And this is before body cameras were a thing. And cops could get away with a lot more than it can get away now. So I have my own struggles too as
Mhm.
Greek American
Right.
because I don't fit on any similar everybody's category. I don't fit under the, the whites because I don't consider myself white. I consider myself Greek. So I
Mhm.
was always unique. I can't consider myself Latino because I'm not Latino. And again, no, and please don't take it as disrespectful. I'm not under the blacks either because I'm not black. but I can be friends with everybody. That's why over the times, like I know we disagree on this statement I always make. That's why I don't see color personally. I see
Right.
the person.
Right.
I don't know. We disagree on that. You say
Yeah.
Adam. I say
Respectfully could disagree because
yeah, yeah,
again,
yeah.
I
Of course, of
understand
course.
what you're saying, but I just see things look, bit different. I think we
Yeah,
both want to go in a positive direction. We both want to put a positive spin
of
on it. So
course.
it's not a contentious disagreement. It's just about perspective.
And I agree 100% with that.
Hmm.
It's just to get some point to call yourself freedom, you have to make a lot of sacrifices. Like for like use business, for example, people who have made a lot of money over the years when they were our age and younger, they had to sacrifice a lot. Hanging out with friends, hang out, spending time with wife, kids, whatever. But when they get a certain age, 55, 60s, around that age, they can be a little free and spend extra money because they work their ass off over their life
Hmm.
and they spend their money correctly.
Hmm.
You have to sacrifice something to get the freedom. That's why I'll leave it at.
Right. But I want to go back to something you said on the outset because you said you have things to do. You have a dog, you have,
Mhm.
you have things, but those are choices that you make.
Correct.
Right. I mean, like I said, you didn't have to get another dog, certainly not this early, just like you didn't have to get Alex or Apollo or what have you. It's like you have people make choices or they have the ability to make choices. And a lot of times, people suffer from the fact that, sometimes there's too many choices. And like, where do I go? Where do I go with this? Or they complain about the choices that they make. So the idea of I can understand the concept of dizziness of freedom because it's like when people don't have a definitive purpose or a definitive, borders to operate in where you don't have so many choices to make, it can become dizzying in terms of, should I go left or should I go right, even though I can go either direction. For some people, you don't have a choice but to go left or to go right. And so for them, they don't they I'm not saying they may not have as many options, but at the same time, they may not have as much as the anxiety or stresses because they don't have to make a choice or a decision. The hardest thing for a person to do is to make a decision. And when decisions are made for you, that's why kids, at least the way it used to be, you didn't have a lot of stress and anxiety coming up because again, you had rules, you had a way with which you operated. There was a time to play and there was a plan to go to school. Everything was set out for you. And then there is certainly, I know a lot of people who some call it arrested development. Like I know a lot of people who all the way through high school, their life was kind of like set for them and they kind of flourished in that. As soon as they got out of high school, when it's like, okay, now you're an adult. Now what do you want to do? Because up to that point, going to school wasn't an option. Or going to church, if you grew up in a religious household, going to church wasn't an option. But now you have all these things in front of you to say, do I go here or do I go there? Where everybody was telling you the right thing to do. And now it's like you have to start making some calls where it's not necessarily about right or wrong. It's either is the decision going to work or not. And I'm seeing a lot of people stressing over this freedom that they have to make choices where prior to that choices were made for you. And I see it with a lot of young people today that are just, I mean, how many kids they're on some sort of anti-anxiety medications or angst
Ooh, too many.
or or whatever. But why? I'm like, wait a minute, you're growing up. I mean, these are kids. It doesn't matter the socioeconomic class. I know kids living in the wealthy suburbs on every medication you can think of. I know kids in poverty stricken areas on all kinds of antidepressants and things like that. But I'm thinking, you got these kids who got almost everything. Why are you stressing over life?
Hmm.
And maybe it's like you almost have too much freedom. That having choice in life is or having stress in life, like things like having that sense of obligation that I gotta do certain things. It may feel oppressive in some respects, but it's the best thing for us. If you're not under pressure, if there's not things where you think I got to do certain things that not have responsibilities, then we don't grow as human beings, in my view. And I remember one time there was a play that came out in the night, and this is probably the last. It wasn't a play; it was a musical, which I hate. Generally, I hate musicals. Hate them. But there was one musical that I really wanted to see back in the '90s when it came out, and it was great because I heard them. They were on the Arsenio Hall show. Shout out to the '80s and '90s, and I go back to Arsenio Hall. But there was a theater musical play called Rent.
I remember this.
And it came out, and they did a performance on the Arsenio Hall show to cast the Rent, and I thought they were just talented. The songs, and we went, my wife and I, one of our anniversaries, that might have been like our second or third anniversary or something like that. We decided to go to New York, Broadway, and all that. We had dinner out there. We went to the theater, and we saw the play. And and I'm still, and for a lot of years of my mind, I still wrestle with what the play meant, or what was the meaning of the musical. But an underlying theme in the musical was this idea of bohemian lifestyle, bohemian living. Live how you want, be free, do what you want to do, have sex with anybody you want, just no parameters. I don't have to succumb to societal norms. I can just live off the grid. And unfortunately, the issue was everybody in the play was poor, homeless, again, no real future or direction. It was like, they, half of them had, some HIV, because that was also at the time when, HIV was still out there, and a lot of people were infected with that. So it's almost like, yeah, you have this bohemian freedom, but are you doing anything productive with it? And the sad part to me was, and I thought what it really took away from, was the plight of homeless people. There's some people who are homeless because some of them are, mentally ill, or they have issues or whatever. I mean, real hardship. But you had people in the play who were very smart, very intelligent. They could have got a job, Madison Avenue. They could have got a job anywhere. But they chose this kind of, I don't want to conform. I want my freedom. La Boheme was a major bit in the play, in the musical, and it was kind of like a Caligula kind of thing. It was, they were grinding and humping each other, and it was just this wild setting. And I'm like, if that's the message that you're trying to present, is that life better than having some parameters, having some borders, having some obligations, having some, are we better off when there's no accountability, no responsibilities? So I can understand that the theologian, when he talks about, yeah, I mean, when we don't have something that anchors us, I think we suffer. Because I'm like, it's great in your 20s when you think you're invincible, and you got, you think again, you can do anything you want, and you can. But once you hit 35, 40, 45 years old, you got nothing, no career, no family. We talk about, how many times have we talked about family on the show? Where the family's at? Who's going to take care of you in your old age?
Apollo.
But I'm just saying, so I think that there is something to this idea of, yes, I mean, I can appreciate those who say, look, I want to be free. But are you simply trading one type of, or versus having responsibilities? But are you trading one thing for another? And is it, at the end of the day, is it going to be the deal that you thought it was? Because, yeah, it's so cool that you can just kind of do these things. So I know that play had a real big impact on me, and I was kind of upset when I left it for a lot of reasons. And I was, talking to my wife. I was talking my wife's ear off about it. But if anybody's ever saw that play in the chat, if you ever saw Rent or either in person or if you saw video or DVD of it or whatever, what was your thoughts on it? If anyone's showed that, but it was a very popular show for a lot of years in the 90s, and so a lot of topics there. But I would appreciate the chat if
Um,
anybody goes there.
Two things really fast. I'm gonna respond to Greg's little comment he made. A smart ass. Greg, do me a favor. Bite my shiny Greek hairy ass. Number one.
Mm.
Second, I think you need responsibilities. Not having any responsibility, have all that freedom, doesn't teach you anything. Just being reckless. And now, when you have all that freedom, when you have responsibility, you have to go to work. You have to pay rent. You have to pay car insurance. Now you get the anxiety. Oh my God, I can't go hang out with my friends. Excuse me. Oh, I can't go out, have a beer. I can't go do this. I can't sit home and smoke weed all day long. Whatever you did before you got that job, it goes bye bye. But when me and you grew up, we had responsibilities. Like, for example, you had to go to school X, Y, and Z. In my case, ours, you guys know I took care of my mom at a very young age. I worked. I did volunteer work. I took care of my dog. I went to martial arts school, into school,
Mhm.
and I still able to handle it. My anxiety didn't kick in till I was an adult, when my mom got sick, and in my early 30s. So, but that's legitimate reasons, because obviously somebody has cancer, is trying to juggle everything by yourself with no backup is a different story.
Mhm.
But when you have the zero responsibility to be prior, and you have to drop everything you're doing, now you think that's unfair.
Mhm.
I say to these kids, grow the fuck up.
Mhm.
I
But
respect
it's
parents.
yeah.
I respect parents who put boundaries on their kids. You,
Mhm.
you come home, do your homework, walk your dog, whatever your responsibilities is. And like, everybody has different ones in the house rules. I assume you had responsibility for your kids when they were younger, right?
Oh, for sure. But just looking at my background, and for those who are coming in, I appreciate the steady stream of people coming in tonight. We're basing the show tonight on this quote, and again, we'd appreciate any commentary which you may have on the quote in the chat from Zoran Kierkegaard. Again, this was a Danish philosopher. He said, "Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom," and tonight we're tackling the topic of freedom versus responsibilities. And so we're kind of playing with the night tonight. But you're interested about the way we grew up. Again, I had few options. I didn't have a lot of freedom for a lot of reasons. One, I was with a mom who was a paranoid schizophrenic, and she wouldn't let me out of her sight. So, like when the kids were outside playing and doing things and running, and back then it was like, okay, you come home by supper at 5 o'clock or whatever. I didn't have that opportunity. Like I was literally, she thought somebody was going to kidnap me or something. So I had or if I did play, I could only play within, she had to be able to look out the window and see where I was. So, and we didn't have a lot of money. So it wasn't like I had the choice of clothes that I wore. I wore hand-me-downs
Mhm.
for a good stretches of my life because, again, we didn't have any money. And my mom, she would work oftentimes as a maid in some of these homes and whatnot, and she would come home and with they would donate clothes and whatnot. So that was a lot of stuff that I wore. Um, so again, I didn't have a lot of choices. Even when I lived with my dad, it's not like we had a ton of money. And so my thing is, if I was going to change my situation, school was going to be important, education, not just education, but the right education. I wasn't just going to go to school and study anything. I wasn't going to go to school and study art. I wasn't that great of an artist anyway, but I wasn't going to study English literature. I'm like, okay, what pays money? Oh, computers, technology, engineering. I'm going to do that. One, because I had an interest in it. And also it paid relatively well. And I knew that since my early years in high school. So it wasn't going to be an issue about what I was going to do. And so for me, it was more, it's like, and same with my wife also. She didn't come from a lot of money. She had dad had 6 kids. And yeah, not everybody was going to, you weren't going to have the choice of anything. Dinner was bologna, fried bologna in pork and beans, or hot dogs and pork and beans. That was dinner. But I mean, today you have people, you can eat anything you want. You can go to any restaurant, you can Uber eat from anywhere. And have all these options. But are you any happier because of all these options that you have? There's something to me about the idea of struggle that makes it work. I've talked about this before when it comes to marriages. The longest marriages that I know were the poorest and the cheapest. Now you got people spending six figures on weddings and
I think that's
married
insane.
less than 5 years. I mean, you got options. You can do everything you want. Back then you did a wedding in your backyard. They fried the chicken and made the macaroni salad without the raisins in it, by the way. But you made the macaroni salad and you baked the cake and everything was there. People weren't throwing these elaborate weddings like that. And yet they were able to forge a life together, have kids, raise a lot of kids. In fact, my wife's family, all six of them got master's degrees from two parents who didn't even who just finished, had high school level education. Six kids all have master's degrees and above. And now we have these kids who, again, I'm proud of my kids and seeing where they're going, but just looking at that generation, you have all this access that I never had, and certainly, like I said earlier, that our grandparents and the ones before them didn't have. And yet you're still full of anxiety over things that at the end of the day don't matter. Your social media, as if that matters. I'm not putting down social media, but I'm like, how you look on social media matters so much to you. But it's freedom. You can go and look at and watch whatever you want. Even when it comes to corn, right? Back in the day, you had an art. You had to get it and hide it, right? You hid it somewhere. Now I can just go on my phone. I can go anywhere and just watch anything I want.
Mm-hmm.
Are you any happier because of that? So that's kind of where I'm sort of driving this conversation. That for me, the best things that happened in my life was, obviously, again, finishing school, getting into a career and whatnot, but getting married and being a father. That did more to mature me and shape me into a man more so than anything else. That if it wasn't for that, I don't know where I would be right now. Because my mindset was such where, look, I got to step up, especially when I became a father. I got to work. I always thought I had a decent work ethic, but it went up like multiple fold when it's like, look, I got people depending on me now. So I wouldn't be that. And even when it came down to when I had to take care of my parents in their latter years, that was another, again, I tell people all the time, that's why I lost my hair. I legitimately lost my hair because of the stress of dealing with being a husband, being a father, and having to take care of my parents and trying to maintain a career all at the same time. But I became a stronger human being because of it. So for all these people who said just free, I just want to be free. I don't want family. I want to travel. I want to see the world. I want to do this. I want to do that. Okay. But how long is that going to last? And are you going to is it going to feel like empty calories like at the end of the day? Yeah, you've been all over the world. But is that going to really at the end, is that what life is really about? Or is it something that's bigger than you? Shout out to Braxton Steakfiend. Yes, long time ago. Yeah, it was in the books first. Yeah, you had to get the books and you hit them. You got the videos and you hit them and you had to work for your corn back in the day. Now it's like, you don't got to work for nothing, Shout out to our guy, Anton, with the $50 super chat. Shout out to you, my brother. Salute, and I really appreciate it. Responsibility was different for my wife and I. She's the oldest of 10. Two of her brothers are autistic. I'm the middle of three. She was parentified. She was she was parentified, was limited in her social skills. I've had the opportunity to travel before starting high school. Appreciate that that commentary. Yeah, we all come from certainly different places, and sure, I'm sure in her case, she had to maybe grow up a lot faster than she probably wanted to. She would have loved to have gone to like what young people are supposed to do: go hang out, go to parties, go to movies, go to the skating rink, go to whatever, or travel the way you did. But she couldn't because she had to handle it. She had to take care of some things. But but I'm sure. But again, what if she wasn't there? Where would that family be at this point if she wasn't put in that position to step up and do? We've been limited. I said, Peter, my man Eric, also, we've all understood, and had that obligation. And I say it's an obligation to take care of our parents at some point, at the expense of our own interests in likes and income and monies and things. Because again, we could have spent our money elsewhere, but some of that money had to go to support them. So we didn't have. So we again, I there were certain things I just could not do. My dad, the first time my dad got sick, I was just getting out of college, and I had plans. My plan, this is like 1991. My plan was to work for a Japanese multinational company, move to Japan, live there half the year, find a Blasian Japanese African American wife. I had my whole plan laid out the way it was going to work. But when he got sick, he had hip replacement surgery and whatnot. That just took that out the window. But having said that, I'm not too upset though, because I wouldn't have the woman that I have now, and I wouldn't have my family the way if things went differently. So this idea that I don't have to, or some people be taught about, well, look, it's not my responsibility. Your parents, they made their bed and whatnot. If they didn't save up a retirement for themselves or whatnot, that's on them. If they didn't find a way to take care of themselves. And so I'm hearing a lot of that now, where a lot of people don't think that they have an obligation to take care of their parents in their old age. Just like, look, well, let the government do it, let Social Security do it, or Medicaid do it. And I know this because again, we got family members who were like, they could have stepped up and they didn't. So yeah, I mean that's no, Braxton, Mr. Bennett. Yes, when I came across corn, it was under my parents' bed. Facts. Yep, all of that too. I know all about it. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Shout out to LB Things Stuff and More. Again, that's not how social contracts work. And yes, we pay taxes. Yeah, I mean, certainly for a lot of those social services. But again, that's a thing too. I mean, we're in the country that does that. There's a lot of other countries that don't have those kind of social safety nets. But having said that, is the society itself, are the familial bonds stronger because you have that lineage? You see, certainly in my community here where I live, there's a lot of Latino homes that are multi generational. The grandparents, great grandparents, kids. I mean, they kind of work that kind of social structure. They have very strong cultural ties. But then you got some people who it's like once they put the parent in the nursing home, again, I know what it's like because now again, my mom's nursing home was 10 minutes away. I went there weekly. But I know some people it's like you drop them off at the nursing home and they're not even seen anymore. I don't have that responsibility. They got it. Are we better for that? So you can have your freedom to go and sow your wild oats somewhere else? I don't know. And I'm not judging one, I'm just asking the question. The question tonight, again, is this idea of freedom versus responsibility. And if we go in one extreme direction or the other, are we sort of missing something in terms of our human development? So, Pete, what's your thoughts on this? I've been kind of long stroking for a while. So,
No, I don't want to finish your statement. I still stick with behind what I said originally. Sometimes responsibilities are what we need. In my case, some responsibilities is in your case too. We had no choice. Like my mom and your mom, we had no choice. We had to step up and do what we needed to do. Same thing, you being a father, and like you knew you wanted kids.
mhm,
When the kids come, anybody can be a father, but not everybody can be a dad, and you could do both.
mhm,
So when you step up to do a responsibility, yeah, you get stressed out. In your case, you lost your hair. In my case, I got gray hair.
mhm,
Like I got lucky, you didn't. Simple. So it just this. Oh, I want to be free. Pull me. I gotta go to work. I don't feel bad for people like that.
mhm,
And people who work for me, I say that I don't listen. Suck it up and shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it.
mhm,
I tell them straight up like that.
mhm.
Am
But
I
there's different
anybody?
levels to this, right? So, I mean, you got
Of
that
course.
situation where it's like, look, Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. So again, for those who just want to just do nothing, that's one level,
Mhm.
right, of freedom. It's like, you don't want to, and again, it's not to say that you're not smart enough to have a job. That, like I said, that was my biggest problem with that musical Rent, that the main characters in the musical, they were very capable, intelligent people that could have had very successful careers in any endeavor, but they didn't want to be kind of part of the system. So they decided to live in homeless, abandoned buildings for their sustenance. And like I said, I thought it really minimized the plight of those who literally, because of certain physical or mental conditions, have to live that way. And I know they tried to highlight that in the play, but I'm thinking since the main people, since they're doing this on by choice, it's like how can you're now it's almost like you're painting a picture of people. Sometimes people say, "Oh, they're just lazy; they don't want to work." And I'm saying, no, there's people who got legit problems. And all you did was reinforce the stereotype of why people are poor. People are poor because they're just lazy, or homeless because they're lazy or something. And that's not always the case. So you got that level of people who choose not to work or just opt out. But then you got those who just don't want any encumbrances on their life. Now, you said the fact that you said you and I, we had to do that. There's a pushback. Someone's going to say, no, you didn't.
Yeah, I
That
did.
everything is a choice. We didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to take care of your mom. If your mom and dad couldn't work it on their own, that was their problem. If my mom and dad couldn't work it out on their own, which they didn't, then that's their problem. I'm not obligated by that. It's your life. You have your life to live. Go and live it. And the heck with anybody else and what everybody else thinks about it. So you do have people who have that level of thinking. You can leave right now, Pete, if you want to. That's a choice.
See, working in nursing homes, I saw that multiple times. People shove their parents in there and never come back ever again. They don't give a shit. I couldn't be that person. Maybe my personality, maybe because like you always say, I love too hard sometimes,
Mm.
and I'm in it
Yeah, you
100%.
definitely
Or
hard, man.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, you fall hard, man. I mean, you're
For
just
it doesn't matter if you're in my circle, you got my heart. You know what I'm saying? You do, David does, BMU does, freaking Wally, all you guys do. If I didn't like you, you know very well. I will say words that you don't not your ears won't be bleeding for weeks. And you know how my mouth is by now. But I could not put myself through that to put somebody in there. Call it a choice if you want. I call it
mhm,
responsibility.
mhm.
I call it a type of response. Yes, Greg, you too, you little son of a bitch. Um, everybody that does that, I have zero respect for that. That's why I'll use Greece as an example. They really don't have nursing homes. It's
Mhm.
rare. Usually the nursing homes are more for when they get to the point like last stages kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't do it.
Hospice or whatever. Yeah.
I think that's what we're looking for. Thank you. Like my
Mhm.
brain just frozen for a minute. Hospice level. That I understand. That's completely out of your realm. Then you need a professional help. I get that. But put him in there on purpose because he doesn't want to deal with it because you want
Yeah.
to go out and have fun. I still go out. Me and you did it in summer in Comic Con, and we only have a day before Flea Week. We
Mhm.
had a great time.
And for some
Go
people, that's not enough. They,
and
because
then go
again,
fuck
that's
yourself.
something
Let's
you
say.
have to plan that. You have to schedule it. Things have to be ordered and organized in a certain way in order to do that at that time. But there's some people they just don't want to be encumbered.
Pooh, I say that. Oh, because you can't go out all night spending $500 on drinks, or you can't buy the new PS5 or the Xbox, or buy a $20,000 computer. Fuck off! I say that. Or you can't buy a Tesla. I know a kid. I'm serious about this too. A kid sued his own fucking father because he wanted a Tesla, and he ended up getting an Audi instead, a used Audi. And he goes, I have an image to represent out there. I cannot be walking around with a used car. And look, I almost looked at him. I was like, so when I heard this story, I go, you're fucking kidding me, right? I love a used Audi. A luxury car? My dad paid for it? Shit. Won't you like one too, Paul? For nice?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, forget the Audi. Any car. A Ford Explorer, a Hyundai, a Chevy Malibu, whatever. For free. That's because your grades were perfect. And he goes and sues his father. The good thing the judge had common sense in him and he dismissed his case. But this is what we're getting to now. Because you're not getting what you want because you don't have your freedom. Now I'm going to sue my own folks. In my opinion, again, I might be stepping out of line. Those parents failed him. Because I know parents, my buddy George, he owns multiple businesses in his area. And he makes his kids work every weekend.
Yeah.
After school.
Yeah.
They're doing something. There is not a free ride. He went with me.
Right. Well, then that gets into another aspect as well. The idea of parenting and what is the primary responsibility of a parent. And are you doing a disservice to your kids? You're giving them opportunities and freedoms that maybe you didn't have. And I think a lot of parents operate from that. It's like, look, I want my kids to be able to do what I couldn't do. But then you're going to have to ask the question at the end of the day, is that mindset? You could be doing it even for like, what's the word I'm looking for? I wouldn't call the right reasons, but again, they're not meant to harm. But do we do a disservice to our kids when we make the struggle or we want to remove the struggle that comes from their lives? Like I know kids who never worked because their parents had them in travel team since 6 years old. All they did was go to school and play football or baseball. They didn't have a job in high school. That everything was paid for. They're getting $300-$400 bets. They're getting, traveling all over the country. I've known kids who've gone. I've never gone to Hawaii. I've known kids under the age of 10 years old who've gone to Hawaii multiple times. And look, I'm not hating on someone's bread. Look, if you got money like that, hey, I'm not hating on you for, again, being able to expose your kids to the world. But the fact that they didn't have to work for it, or if, God forbid, if they develop an entitlement sort of mentality where they think they deserve it, are we doing something to our kids in the long term that's hurting their development? to be responsible human beings? Are we simply just creating a society full of narcissists that just think that they're just entitled and that the law, the rules don't apply to me, and that there's no accountability, that I can do anything that I want, or if I get in trouble, you know what, my mom and dad will get me, they'll bail me out, they'll make a political contribution, or at the very least, they'll hire the best attorneys possible to get me off of what I should have gotten. So these are things that I'm as parents, we got to start asking ourselves, what is the goal here? What are we trying to do here? And I even think about that now because, again, I see where my girls are, and again, in a lot of areas, I'm proud of them, especially my one who's in medical school, because the good thing about her is she's understanding what struggle is. Just living outside the country, having to adapt to a new environment that's just not built up to U.S. standards. But it's made her so appreciative. She's talked to me and said, she's so appreciative of what her mother and I have had to sacrifice for her to be where she is.
That's
But she
good
had
for
to
you.
get out of the country in order to really, it kind of hit home for the first time. It's like, wow, mom and dad really, they really gave up a lot for me to be here. And there was like an appreciation that, when I heard that, I mean, that was, I'll play it off, but yeah, it was, it was touching at the end of the day. So these are things that, these are things that I worry about with a lot of people. There's such a sense of entitlement. There's a lack of accountability. And should we even be surprised by the mindset that's totally separated from everything? Your parents gave you everything, but you don't feel an obligation to have to take care of your parents in your old age. I think that's a problem.
I do too.
So, but for you guys in the chat, your thoughts on freedom. What does freedom look like to you? And I'll ask you that same question. So again, given what we understand, based on the responses that we have and whatnot, what does freedom look like to you? Do you believe you're a free person? And if so, how and why? And so just from your perspective, what does that look like? But certainly for those in the chat also, are you free? Or do you feel that, you have a lot of responsibilities, and are you good with that? Or do you think you may have too many responsibilities? So Peter, from your perspective, how do you, where do you feel you are in your life in terms of, your freedoms and your ability to move
I
in
feel like
society?
I'm comfortable where I'm at right now.
Mhm.
Between the last several years, I took on a lot on, not denying that one bit. It was a roller coaster the last several years, but the reason I said I took a lot on is first it was just my mom's cancer and the responsibility of me keeping a roof over our heads. Then I added me doing this as a side hobby. Thought, hey, I might strike it rich one day. I'll be in Mr. Beats. Still think I'll be bigger than him. Swatch. But then I took more responsibility at work, meaning I need to be more time out there. But I finally am in a place that I am comfortable at. If I need a day off from work, let's tell them, hey, I need an extra day. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Just come in early the next 2 days, and so we balance the hours out. Cool. Or if I need a night off from this, I go, hey, Paul, can you cover me a night? Sure, Pete, no problem. Send me with you. I might break your balls, but that's out of love and just fucking around. Same thing with the dog. I have somebody who can walk Apollo if I needed to for a day. When I was sick and when Alex was still alive, I called Mariana. I go, yo, I'm sick in bed. Can you walk Alex for me? Yeah, no problem. Those are the people that make your life easier. People you need. People that you want. I do believe, if you know how to balance your life out, I don't see a problem with it, to be honest with you. I
Mhm.
think it's more you stress out over stupid shit for no reason,
Mhm.
if that makes sense, what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's anxiety, sometimes for having too many freedoms. Um,
See, a buddy of mine, his father said to me one long, long time ago, don't stress the little shit. But guess what? Everything is little shit. And he goes to me, you're not going to understand that. I'm like, you're right. I don't understand it. Till I hit in my 30s, late 30s, like 38, 39, the last
Mhm.
2, 3 years.
True to it, yeah,
It makes sense. Why
yeah.
stress about all the little shit? Because everything's little shit.
Mhm.
Oh, the dog peed on a carpet, or I got my headlight went out, or I got a fender bender. All that shit is replaceable.
Yeah,
Everything's replaceable in life.
yeah.
Only thing that's not replaceable is the people you have next to you who has
Mhm.
life.
Right.
All that shit
Right.
is replaceable
And
in life.
that's also part of responsibility. Relationships. The reason why you were able to call in things is because of the relationships that you develop, and relationships take that kind of development. Again, people don't want responsibility in a lot of areas. They don't want responsibility in marriage. They don't want responsibility in parenting or being a child in a family. Nobody wants responsibility like anywhere. And I think, it certainly hurts us in the long run. Again, I want to give a shout out again. Again, my man Anton, Jersey Stand Up. Really appreciate you standing up. Another $50 super chat tonight to the channel. Really appreciate you. My mother is a retired nurse who saw people just dumping their parents in the waiting room of the ER at the hospitals where she worked. The first job my brother's sister and I had working for our father at his grocery store and travel agency. And then he followed up with another one. Says that's the same business that paid for our tuition to go to school. Yeah. I mean, so again, we see on one extreme the lack of responsibility that people have, but again, the fact that their father, Anton's father, had him and his siblings working in that little grocery store. No, you can't go to the movies. No, you can't go to what I'm not saying you can never go to the movies. I'm just saying, but the fact that you had that grounding, it paid dividends later on because you were responsible and accountable to your family. Now you're able to go and do other things. Shout out to you and shout out to your dad for certainly instilling that work ethic in you guys, that you were able to certainly go out and take what they gave you and were able to certainly start your own legacies and families as a result of that. But that's a great story and testimony and the wisdom that your dad had in doing that. And I'm not saying that you have to even stay with that, because I know some guys, it's like, yeah, they remember growing up working for the family business or what have you, but they got to a point where they did want to branch out on their own. But the work ethic that they developed in working that family business allowed them to go outside and stretch and succeed on their own. But if you didn't have that foundational first, then would it have happened to you for you in the way that you want it to happen? I want to go back to something that Braxton said, what freedom looks like to him. So again, it's about consistency, financial stability, and leisure time. And those are good. I think for a lot of people, that's a good sort of middle ground to come on. I guess the question would be is, what are you willing to give up to get those things? For a lot, and I'm not asking you specifically, but I'm saying rhetorically, for anyone, if you want that consistency or that stability, a lot of times that comes from responsibility, being consistent, being accountable to your work, to your study, to the people around you, to earn that kind of stability or that leisure time. They say, you play hard now, and so you play hard, uh, um, work hard now, or so you can play later. But some people, they play now, but they work hard later. So sometimes, so you have to, you have to, understand the cost. And sometimes that cost means doing things that you simply don't want to do. And a lot of people, they just want to be able to do whatever they want. They never, and I see this with a lot of people who are constantly, I know people, they have a lot of ideas and they have a lot of dreams and they get a lot of things. Hey, this will be a good, and you see this, people that have like these get rich quick schemes or something like that, or hey, this
Mhm.
is, but they're never consistent. They don't stay with anything for any period of time because again, they don't have the discipline to stay with something for there's certain that you have to shut down. Like I said, sometimes, when you're student again, I remember in school, if it was outside my meal plan, it was tuna and ramen noodles. That was my dinner, late night dinner every night. Every once in a while, when I got some money, especially when I got my refund for my tuition back, yeah, we'd splurge a little bit, get some pizza and things of that nature. But a lot of times there was no money for pizza. So you had to, so again, are you willing to sacrifice in order to enjoy the fruits of your labor later on? But some people, it's like they're not waiting for nothing. But I'm saying at the end of the day, once you got your hot girl summer on and all your travel in and all your Instagram photos are in, because guess what? You're going to get old. That body that you want to show off in that hot bikini and everything, that's going to get old too. And at the end of the day, what do you going to have to show for your life? And it's interesting because I've talked about this several times um, about different cultural events that I've gone to. So balancing that I understand the idea to balance. You need to be around people you can trust, absolutely. But that's something that takes time because trust is built, Craig. Being accountable to people so that trust can be built. But again, a lot of these people who don't want freedom or responsibility, they're the least trustworthy. You need them to come in a pinch and do something for you. I'm sorry, I got busy, or they said they do it and then they don't show up. Oh, because something came up. They're always shifty all the time. There's certain people, they're good for the high time, for the good time. But will they be there for you? Will they put the emotional investment in the relationship that I can count on you, I could depend on you because you're there in good times and bad? We talk about fair weather friends. When everything's hype, they're there all for everything. When it gets a little hot, they can't be found. You're much better off with a couple of ride or die friends that are going to be with you in good times and bad than have a bunch of people who are just hanger-ons who at the end of the day don't really mean anything. But you got
There
to
are very
put the
few people that will take a bullet for you. Let's put it straight up like that. Those are the people that I want around me. When shit hits a fucking fan and we're at World War 10 or whatever, Civil War or whatever, you look to your left, look to your right. Who has your 6? Who has your 12? Who has your 3 o'clock? Those are guys that I want in my corner at all times. If I pick up this goddamn fucking phone right now and I tell him, shit is hitting the fan, I need you up here as soon as possible. Are you going to get in your car? You will, Paul. I know that of our heartbeat. I don't know if you ever got in a fight in your life, but that's a whole different story. But you would still at least talk me out of it. If I called you like I'm about to fuck somebody up, you're going to try to talk me out of it at least.
Yeah. And you got to be mindful of those who try to always get you in the situation because people talk about, yeah, ride or die, we go for each other. But being around someone who's shifty or unstable or irresponsible, they will drag you into situations that could potentially damage your reputation or your health or both. Someone who's hot-headed, like there's people, again, I'm fortunate I don't have those kind of people in my life.
Hey, dude,
But I've known people, it's like hotheads. You're in the bar, you're in the club, you always picking a fight with somebody. Someone's got their girl there, you trying to hit on the girl when she's there, you get into a fight, be like, all right, boys, we got to go in, we got to handle this. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Is that the type of person that you need in your life?
No, of course not. I have good disconnected people like that who every time my phone rings, like, man, I got shot the other day. Like, why the fuck did you get shot this time? That's the question I got. Oh, why the fuck you got punched in the face this time? I don't need drama. I got my own fucking drama in my life.
Yeah.
I don't need other people drama.
Yeah.
Like,
But those are those same people, they'll claim loyalty.
they don't. Fuck that. They don't.
It's not loyalty, it's fealty. It's a one-way street with them. And so again, so those people talk about freedom. At the end of the day, they don't know what freedom is. And they will get you into situations where your very freedom itself can get compromised. You can get locked up. Going after some nonsense that they're coming at you with.
Bro,
so again, I think freedom. Yeah, go ahead.
Multiple people said, "I'm your Ryan. You're my boy. We'll go for. I got blood for you, man." Yeah, I'll give you a great example. My mom was in Greece, and I'll call his motherfucker out. His name was George. So George was supposed to be my boy. A fight broke out of my house. Guess what he fucking did? The little punk ass bitch he is.
He's left.
He just got in the car and dipped the fuck out. So, the fight broke up, whatever. It wasn't a big fight. It was like literally like scratches. That's what it was. Two girls got into it. So me and a couple of friends are talking. He calls me about 2-3 days later. Or are you talking shit? Like, oh no, I'm not talking shit. You're wrong. Talking shit is behind your back. I'm talking shit to your fucking face. You're a bitch. You're always gonna be a bitch. And you got raised by bitches. So if you're gonna run like a bitch, at least stand up, be a bitch. He didn't say a word. He hanged up. I have never spoken to him since then.
Right.
If you're gonna run, you say you got my back, and no matter what happens in the house, why'd you dip out, punk? Simple.
Yeah.
But if you were there, Paul, and let's say you're sober and you're drinking, I had maybe 1 or 2 beer, 2 girls got into it. What's the first thing you probably do?
Get you out of this. Look, it's not.
If it's my house, I'm talking about.
If people get your house, people get inebriated and they're getting into it.
Yeah.
Well, I would certainly want no harm to come to you, so I would protect you from harm. But I may have to get you out of the house.
Okay.
Even if it's your own house. Because again, we don't need cops, we don't need escalation or what have you. So my thing is, my first choice always is to remove from danger. That's like the first instinct. Get away from a situation. And if I saw or felt that you were getting into a situation, you're in an argument with a family member or something is getting too heated or whatever, it's like, hey man, just kind of let it go. Hey, you want to go out somewhere? You want to go, let's break away.
But that's my point. At least you did something about it. You didn't.
Oh yeah.
The problem. That's my point. You at least stepped up. Whatever, friend, man, whatever you want to call the situation. Hey, go outside, have a cigarette, or go outside, get deep air. Let's go for a walk, or let's go for a ride. Let's decompress the situation and come back later. I can respect that, but you didn't just walk away and say like, "Fuck it."
Yeah, I mean,
these boys that say they're from the streets. The only thing they're from the streets that I respect, they're going to be back in jail. When I worked at the prisons, that's what I saw. Repeating people, they're out less than 24 hours. They're back in.
Yeah.
They say, I don't want to change the subject, but when you say you're from the streets, you're so proud about it. One thing you should be proud, you're behind bars your whole life, and you have nothing.
But it's interesting that you're going in that direction, because I think there's a lot of people who confuse freedom. Now, again, I know from a spiritual perspective, not to get too biblical or whatever, but I know Apostle Paul, he talks about this idea of, again, being free, even though you're a prisoner. Like, there were a lot of times where in his ministry, he was in prison. But even though his physical body was in prison, his mind wasn't in prison. But you got some people who are on the outside who are not in prison, but their brains are in a prison. So we got to ask ourselves, like, what is freedom? that has to do with not only your physical freedom or your ability to move around, it's also your mental and emotional ability to move around. And more times than not, people are not free in a lot of areas or the areas that are important. You can be in a prison and be free, but you got a lot of people out here who are just in hell, even though they got no criminal record. Because again, they're worried about it. They got so many anxiety over things that at the end of the day don't are not fruitful in life. So I think for a lot of people, we gotta, I think have the conversation about what is freedom. And I don't know if we, if people really invest that time. Because again, all those choices that you have, it's almost like it's an illusion. You think you have choices, but those can become a prison in themselves. I got so many responsibilities. I got so many options. I'm into this. I'm into that. I do this. I do that. You take no time for self. There's no self reflection. There's no uh, question of, what is the value add of this activity in my life? And are you willing to even walk away? But I can't walk away from now, but I thought you were a free person. So I think freedom. I guess where I'm kind of going with this is I think freedom in many ways is an illusion. It sounds good. It tickles the ears. It you know it seems like that's the area where you want to be. I mean, in America, we talk about it all the time, especially in the Cold War, right? We said, oh, in the Soviet Union, they're not free. They live under communism, but here in America, you're free. And I'm not saying people don't have certain mobilities here, but what we've been seeing certainly in the last few years, a lot of people aren't feeling very free. A lot of people feel that a lot of options are getting closed off to them. So again, who's got the better system? Was communism better? Was capitalism better? Or is it just a different type of bondage? But it makes you feel, because even in a capitalist nation like the U.S., 1% make it. 10% of people make over six figures. 1% make over $1 million a year. But America is really good at selling you on hope and opportunity. Like, you have this dream that you can make it, that you can get out of your situation. Go to a Tony Robbins seminar and you think you can conquer the world. But is that real? You say, yes, I'm free. I can buy anything that I want, but did you buy it outrightly, or do you got a bunch of credit card debt on top of it? Because you can buy things or put things on credit, you think you're free, or you think you're living your best life because you can go and do these things that someone maybe in a third world country or even like in a communist country with limited freedoms or whatever can't do. You think you're free because you can go and rack up a bunch of debt. I mean, we really got it. Like I said, that's the brain work that we have to do. And understand that, and responsibility, we made responsibility like a four-letter word. I don't want responsibility. I don't want to have to do. But I think that's always been part of the human condition. We've always done better when we were responsible, when we did have obligations to people, to society, to community, to family, to friends. Generally, we're better off because it makes us get out of our comfort zone and do things when we're pushed to do things that we normally wouldn't. So what do you think of that statement? It said, is freedom in a way an illusion? It sounds good, it feels good, but is it even real?
I think is a word that stimulates your brain. That's it. To be straight up with you, I think it's a word that stimulates your brain. It sounds great. It gets you aroused. It gets you happy. It gets you freedom. It gets you tickle you under the spots you never thought you can tickle a little bit. But what the word free is not free. It's a word. That's it. When the last time you felt free, Paul? That's my point. You couldn't even answer that right.
No, I'm going to answer your question, but it has nothing to do with anything like on the outside. The freedom is in here. Because, like I said earlier, for a long time, because of my physical and just my living conditions, the conditioning that I was under for a lot of years, it took me a long time for me to feel good about myself. You asked me on the show a couple weeks ago, who do you admire? And what did I say? When you did that show on people you admire, what did I say to you?
Nobody.
Yeah, I said myself. Because when I look over my life and seeing the things that I had to overcome, that I am proud of myself for not being defined by my past or where I could have went left, one or the other. I mean, there were certainly decisions that were made. There were people, there were circumstances that came into my life at certain times. I took advantage of those things. I had to take on roles and responsibilities, but I am proud of the person I have become. But that took me a long time to get there because there was always like, why am I dealing with this? So I don't admire anybody. And what they always say all the time, don't meet your heroes. Because you'll find out things about them. It's like, hey, you know what? You thought they had it all together. You thought they were free people. And then you thought that, and you found that they were drug addicts. I was reading Bruce Lee. I mean, I used to idolize the guy. But Bruce Lee wasn't free. He had a major drug issue. So I'm thinking to myself, look, well, I've never done drugs. I've never, had, any substance. I've never drank. And some people think like that's freedom. Oh yeah, let's go out and let's get lit. Let's get lit. Let's get, coming back drunk and all this kind of stuff. I was like, I never had a desire for that. But those people, they thought that was being free. And I never was envious of that. So to ask your question, when do I feel free? Yeah, here. That I'm free to talk about my life. Like, I don't hold back too much on any show that I'm on. You've been enough. The fact that I talk about my family the way that I do. The fact that I talk about my mom, what I had to deal with that. There was a time where I might have felt ashamed or not comfortable bringing that up. But I have a freedom to talk about it. What you decide, what your opinion of me based on what you hear from me, that doesn't matter to me anymore. What matters to me is the people, my wife, my kids, the people who I respect. That's it. But I got no skeletons really that I'm hiding. That's freedom. But my responsibilities, like I said, that is what helped to form the person that I am. Responsible to my people, responsible to my church. I do a lot of stuff in my church, from an audio, visual, technical, teaching. I do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think of that as bondage. Now, there's certain things in Christianity, again, when I felt free, when I gave up a lot of religious stuff. There's a lot of things I don't do. I don't fast. I don't practice Lent. I don't do a lot of religiosity type of things. Me, it's about Christ and his salvation and whatnot, and me being free from thinking I got to earn my salvation with anybody. That's freedom. So yeah, as much as I may do in my church, I'm not bound by my church though. If they think they can find somebody who can do something,
it should be a freedom, more like what you because God wants you to come in with your own free will,
Well,
not
right.
because of force.
And applying myself in areas where I think I can contribute. Because before we'd be like, okay, become an officer, become a steward, become a trustee, become this or that. I was like, I don't want to do any of that. But here's what I can do for you. And they accept it. Now, I don't need to be an officer. I don't need a title. I don't need to sit in church at a certain special section of the church just so people know that he's an officer. I don't need to wear a special jacket or a lapel pin to say he's an officer. What difference does it make? Is any of what you're doing, all this religious stuff, is that really helping anybody? And
Never.
so I freed myself from a lot of that spiritual bondage. But I'm just as passionate now about Jesus and his sacrifice than ever. But I don't think I have to give up certain things. I still listen to rap music. I still, hang out. I still watch movies. I still do things. But there's certain things that just for my own personal that I just don't feel the need to do, and it's not bondage. I don't swear, but that's a choice that I make because I got to a point where I just didn't think it's not worth it. And I've always said in these spaces, swearing, in my view, doesn't earn you any money. It's bad for business. So why do it? So I choose that. So that's not, do I have an obligation? No, I just chose. I just don't want certain things. I just don't want to project that. And so I don't swear. I've never had a drink. Like I said, I've never had a desire to drink, even though I've had plenty of, in college, it was all over the place. Hey, you want a beer? Here's a Jägermeister. They used to drink Rolling Rock beer and Jägermeister was like the main beer in college for whatever reason. I had no idea. Oh, in Busch and Coors. Those are like the four major brands in college back then.
It's cheap. That's why.
So Rolling Rock, Jägermeister, Busch, and Coors. That was like the main
was the
beers.
biggest thing up here.
I could go into any guy's dorm and be, hey, yo, you want one? It's like, no, I'm good. You got a Coke, you got a Pepsi or something, I'll drink that. But guys are like, yeah, we're in college, yeah, we're free, we party and whatnot. And go out drinking Thursday night was rush night, frat night or whatever. Come back, everybody's smashed, everyone's throwing up, everyone's vomiting. It's just disgusting. But that's freedom to you. I never got that correlation. So getting back to your question again, in here, I'm as free now as I've ever been. But I got a ton of responsibilities that I openly embrace. And I'm better because of those responsibilities. So for me, that's where it is. But any other images or illusions to freedom, I think it's hype. I think it's an illusion. It's not real. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that people really need to, again, take that assessment. If social media or your image is so much, I remember today I had to go to my wife and I got dropped off like our main car, and my kids, they still have a beater car. Like, I mean, we got them this car 5 years ago during the pandemic. It's a 1998 Honda Nissan Sentra, beat up, rusted out. But I'm like, look, we're not getting you a nice car. If you want a car, you gotta, you earn it.
Is that a rust bucket I see at your driveway when I come visit you?
Yeah. That's their car. That's the car that their primary car to drive.
That is.
But unfortunately, but there was a situation. My wife had to go somewhere, and my kids had the other car because we were at church early. So okay, they took the other Hyundai. So the only car that was home was that. And my wife was like, oh, well, can you go to the store and get some things for me for dinner tonight or whatever? So I said, sure. Oh, you don't mind driving? I was like, no. I mean, I earn money where I don't have to drive in a car like that, but I'm not ashamed to drive in a car like that.
Yeah.
It's like, if it gets me to and from where I need to go, like I said, I'm not bound by what you think about the life that I have, because I wouldn't trade my life for anyone's.
It's funny you say that because for the longest time, and my cousin put this idea in my head. You know, you made it when you have a Beamer, a Mercedes, any of those nice cars. And I realized over the time, that's not how you made it. You made it when you know you made it. Yes, I have a nice car myself. You see my car, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 2023 Hyundai Tucson fully loaded. But do I need it? No. Is it nice? Yeah. Can I afford it? Yes. Could I get something a little cheaper? Yeah. But I'm comfortable with it. At the time, I was driving 45 minutes. I thought I wanted something comfortable, whatever. But the biggest reason I got it all the bells and whistles. But my point I was trying to get to was I don't need it. I don't fucking need it. I could literally get a freaking Power Wheel. I'll be good with it.
Mm.
I'm telling you, if I ever get to work, but that's a different story. But my point is trying to get to, even you do you need that a Hyundai?
Do I need it now? It's nice. I've gone to, we used to go to car just to test drive these cars. I've just thought Mercedes, BMW, I've test driven, the Teslas. Nice. I mean, I'm not opposed to having those things. If somebody wanted to give me one of those, I'd take it. I'd be like, I'm not taking a note of poverty here. But the thing is, like, I don't need those things to validate me as far as who I am. I'm very cheap when it comes to clothes. I shop at Marshall's. I don't go to Neiman Marcus. I don't go to these other places, even though I could. Marshalls, I'm a Marshallholic. That's my jam. I bought me a shirt today for $15 because to replace the shirt that I outgrew. I'm good with that. So I've shopped at, even though I could afford it, I'll go to some thrift stores, and if I see something that I can rock, I'll get it. Under $10. So for me, freedom isn't about, they say, well, you can't afford those things. No, that's not the reason. I choose, because I like it. And if I like it, then I get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's freedom.
And I agree to that.
But I'm not, but some people, you're so caught up in brand labels, especially growing up that, a lot of people, they were so into brands. Oh, don't wear British Knights. You got to wear Nikes. You got to wear this with that. And you can't wear this with that. And that doesn't go together with this or that. I'm like, who cares? These brands, to me, you're the dumb one, because how much you're spending on that brand, and how much are they making that item for in China? They're making that thing for $2 in China, but you spending $200 on it. Who's stupid?
So it's kind of funny you said that, because I get shit for this all the time. You see me wear Nikes when we're out together and Puma, stuff like that. But I buy mine on the clearance rack.
Mm-hmm. Clearance? Oh, yeah.
My Jordans cost me $30. My Pumas cost me about, I think it was 30 or 20. I can't remember, around that range. The most expensive shoe I have in my closet are my boots, my because you need a nice winter boot, and they're expensive. But let's be honest with that. Doesn't matter, no brand or whatever. Those are always whatever. You can't, cheaper than $80. You're not gonna find them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And a pair of my dress shoes, and that's a little exception, I think. Everything else, my Kevin Klein clothes, because I get Kevin Klein jeans because they feel more comfortable on me. Clearance. I literally go to clearance rack. I get the coupons. They email me all the time, and they have another discount in there. A $30, $50, whatever it is, it comes down to like $20, $15 pair of jeans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I don't need Kevin Klein's, but they're comfortable.
And I've heard someone, I don't know if it was Warren Buffett or someone, said something like, broke people buy brands.
Yeah, actually,
like,
that's true.
If you know, like, how millionaires spend their money, like Warren Buffett, how he lives or whatever, these guys aren't spending all their money on these luxury brands.
And the funny thing, when you see me like for example, Under Armour shirt and stuff like that, none of them have been bought with my money. Most of them are gifts. It's rare when I buy something, and when I do buy something, again, it's a clearance rack. It's always clearance racks. Or I buy something on Amazon that is 3 or 4 years old, and they're trying to get rid of it for pennies.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
I don't have expensive clothes. I don't need expensive clothes.
Yeah, I'm very, some people call me frugal or whatever. Look, if I find something of value, I'll buy it. But I'm not going to be so overblown to say, okay, well, this because I'm validated because I was able to spend even on like cologne, like guys spending $300-400 on a bottle of cologne. I'm like,
Yeah, no,
nah.
fuck that.
So I
Like, I'll be honest with you, like when I was like when I was doing the grooming review stuff on my channel, I really wanted to get Creed. But when I saw the price tag $300 for I think it was like 12-ounce bottle, I thought that they can kiss my ass. Oh, natural. My shit's all natural doesn't mean I'm gonna put it on my fucking clothes either. It's not good on it. I'm like, come on now. Like even with cologne, I wait till it goes on sale, and I have a coupon, so you can stack them. Like $80 cologne goes down to 40 very easily.
yeah, yeah,
And a lot
yeah,
of my clones, again, it's gifted.
yeah.
A lot of stuff I got is gifted
Mhm,
because people always have a hard time shopping for me for gifts because I have most stuff I need. To be honest, I got my computer, I got my PlayStation, I got everything in this room. So it's
mhm.
usually clothes or cologne that is easy for them to get me,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm okay with that.
yeah.
Yeah, they
But
ask
I
me what
think at
you
the
want.
end of the day, you have to be okay, period. Because again, I know people who have all those things
Yeah,
and they're still
I'm,
not happy. The
I'm
one thing
comfortable.
that when I went on vacation, I think when we did that because this time last year I was on vacation. I was just getting back from a cruise. My wife and I went on,
Oh, that one you
and
went. Yeah, you had no PTO. I remember that.
so that was one of the things that I observed when I got back. Was it's like, look, I mean, you are now again, some people, if you're an avid traveler, I mean, yeah, sometimes your tastes increase, right? Because you've seen a lot of things, you know what's good and what's not or whatever. And so you acquire a certain taste, a certain things that you expect from your travel. But in some of those people that I saw, they didn't appreciate anything. It's like, look, you're one of the few people who actually gets it, even though you got a ship with 5,000 people on it. Everybody thinks that everybody can just do this on the regular, and that's not the case. But you just think that this is it is. But I'm like I said, I listen. I'm watching people's body English and body language and whatnot. It's like you're doing things that a lot of people with 99% of the world would love to do. You're in a position to do, but you're still unhappy. You find problems with everything. The food wasn't right. This wasn't right. Could be better. And this, you just become a critic instead of enjoying the vacation, enjoying the people that you're going on vacation with. Everything is a problem.
See,
And
the
I'm
food
just
not
that
bad,
guy
bro.
who just always shows up. It's like, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just blessed to be here.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Paul. When it comes to food, I can be a critic at times because again, it's my line of work. I'm a chef.
Mhm.
So I can't sometimes I cannot take that out of me. It's just because I've been doing it all my life.
I got you.
Sometimes I'm a little bad at that. And people look at tell me like, dude, just turn it off sometimes.
Yeah, because look, I still remember some of the food that I ate again growing up. I remember the times we had nothing but bread, like the end breads of the loaf of bread, the ends,
Or the corners.
the corners, and I had those, toasted them. I put mayonnaise on them, and I put some Lowry seasoned salt on them. That was my dinner. Like I said, we didn't have or some rice or something. I mean, we didn't. There were nights when again you just didn't have. And for whatever reason, I'm still like that's still there. It doesn't matter. I can have a $300-400 dinner, and I still remember that. So I'm not gonna crap on the dinner. I'm just grateful that I can certainly have the opportunities. Like I said, I'm not taking all or the poverty or saying that this is you got to live this way. I'm not saying that at all. But again, I have freedoms now. When I traveled over the summer, I had freedoms to do things that other people couldn't do. And you would go out to dinner with some people, and then everybody was just hypercritical. It's like, wait a minute, you're not even paying for this dinner. This is a corporate expense. You gonna turn this in? This is not even your own money. and you're complaining. So again, that's always in front of me where I was. And the freedoms that I have now, I don't, if you want to call them freedoms, I don't take those for granted. I look at them as opportunities, I look at them as blessings, and I'm grateful. And so that for me is what freedom is. And to enjoy, even when I was injured, when I couldn't walk for some time. And it sucked because, again, I had multiple, almost lost my leg. But it's interesting that as I got more comfortable with the situation and whatnot, again, I felt that I was free in a lot of ways. And so when I did get the stitches out and when I did take the halo off my leg and when they were able to kind of get me back to certain things, when I learned how to run again and lift weights and things of that nature, I felt, um, again, very privileged that I could come back to a certain extent and I could recover. And now at my age now that I can still do things that a lot of people who are younger than me cannot do, either in the gym or just physically, just be able to run up and down the flight of stairs 5, 10 times and not get tired. That's a blessing. Especially when I lost it for a while, when I couldn't do that for a while. But there's people who walk around, life sucks. I can't tell you how many times, even sometimes with my kids, I gotta snatch them up. But what are you talking about? My life sucks. Nothing's right. This and that. I'm like, calm down. So yeah, I think that, and again, I know we're getting towards the certainly the end of the show. Night, Craig. Again, thank you certainly for hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate you being here. And certainly we'll see you certainly in the next show. Certainly if not here on the Sparta network. But again, appreciate you being on tonight. As we start to certainly land this plane on the show, I don't want a long stroke it tonight, but I'm still reminded of a movie which I've talked about seemingly over and over again on this show, and um, always on this. I think it's something that's a must watch. Watch this movie before you die. The movie is called Rollerball. Came out in 1975. James Caan. In fact, for a long time, I don't know if it's still free now, but it was free on YouTube for a long time. I watch a lot of free movies on YouTube. And I remember just a month ago, it was free on YouTube. And again, I watched the movie so many times that it's like one of those movies. It's like, it's like anytime a movie's on, how you flip into the channels or whatever. It's like, oh, Godfather's on. For some reason, I got to watch Godfather wherever it is, even though I've seen it so many times. Godfather 2, I got to see it every time it comes on. But Rollerball is that same kind of movie. And one of the themes in the film, not to give too much away, was this idea of freedom and luxury. And that those are ultimately the pursuits. Those are the pursuits of human beings. That's what's ideal. That's what human beings should pursue in life: luxury, freedom, and choices. And the pushback was like back in the day, we didn't have as many choices because they created this sort of utopian society, which in many ways is interesting because they portrayed it as a utopian society, but it's really dystopian in a lot of ways. Again, that illusion of freedom. And what is it that you're losing? And there was a scene in the film where people were at a party and they got such this joy out of shooting a gun and burning some trees down or something. And people were just like, and there was a scene from a lady in there and they were like, this is Is this really what life is about? We got everything. We're, got these nice dresses on. We're in this high class and high society, and we think that we are living it up.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, what happened was they got to a point where there was no purpose in the people's lives. People forgot what life was supposed to be about. And more times than not, it comes back to those core principles: connection, family. Those things really, at the end of the day, struggle for a common cause, for a noble cause that was going to require discipline and sacrifice. That's really what life is about. It's not about freedom. And I'll kind of land my plane there. Again, Anton, I can't thank you enough. And certainly, I'm sure BMU can't thank you enough for your contributions tonight. Finishing off with another $5 super chat that says, one thing that freedom offers, the ability and opportunity to grow and become a better version of who you are. Now, you could say, I would say responsibility. I would swap out freedom with responsibility. I understand what you're saying, but that's probably what I would do. I would probably swap those out. I know it was certainly in my case because that allowed me to grow in areas that I never could have grown in had I not been put in those situations. But I appreciate your comment, and I certainly understand what you're saying. Braxton, he's got a couple comments. I love the Wrecking Crew 1960. Yeah, you old school. Love that film. I got to check it out as well. I recommend it. A few familiar old school celebrities were in it, so noted. I'll definitely check that out. And again, Sinners. I know that's big. That's on my watch. For some reason, I haven't gotten there. But again, also explores that concept of having freedom. Definitely, that's on the watch list. And yes, and certainly from BMU. Again, definitely shout out to Anton for blessing the channel tonight. We really appreciate you being the super sponsor. Certainly for tonight's show. Really appreciate your contribution there. But Pete, certainly as we look to land this plane, any final comments from you when it comes to this concept of responsibility and freedoms? How can we come to a balance of these things and what freedom really should look like? So any way you want to take that as we certainly land this.
Balance is what you make it. Freedom is what you make it. I'm comfortable. Paul's comfortable because we work for it. Work hard and you can get whatever you want. Like you always saying, you put your mind to something, you can accomplish anything. That's true. I'm a living factor. I was doubted all right and left. Well, you tell me I will be working at McDonald's because my reading disability, all this shit. Guess what? You little fuckers? Guess who's not flipping burgers? And you guess who has a dead end job? You guys, not me, fuckers. Again, you keep pushing. And that word freedom, I think this is a word that stimulates the mind. I don't think it's real. You can break it any way you want. Freedom is what you want to make it. Happiness, I think, is more important than freedom.
Gotcha. And again, for me, freedom is, if this isn't free, then I don't care where you find yourself. You will never be free. And if that is free, then certainly you can be in any situation and still prosper in that situation, wherever that situation may lead you. I've known a lot of people, even in the prison situation, but they found purpose there. Led ministries there, got their trades in there, have been a benefit to the inmates in the prison. They've totally transformed. So again, a physical prison doesn't have to be a mental prison if once you understand what true freedom is. And so now I would encourage anybody who is interested in truly being free, where freedom really comes from. And it doesn't necessarily come from what's in your bank account or what have you. Yes, sir. So parts of me are old school spirits. other old school films. Yeah, Cannonball Run. I remember those. But yes, I will definitely check out those two films. Noted. We'll definitely check those out. But again, if you're not free here, there's a lot of things you're gonna feel in bondage, regardless of your trappings. And that certainly we don't want for anybody. But at the same time, responsibility, having responsibility, being accountable will grow you in ways that having freedom never could. And you'll actually, whatever you think of as freedom, the freedom to travel or to go to places or whatever, you'll have a greater appreciation when you certainly applied yourself in that regard. So don't run away from responsibility, embrace it. You'll be better off for it when you do that. But certainly, I appreciate you guys hanging with us tonight on this edition of the Gray Area. We got we'll be back I guess next Sunday. I know we got the holidays coming up, so again, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, or you don't practice at all, secular holiday or whatever, however you decide to spend this coming week, hopefully you can get together with some family, enjoy the presence of family, and build your bonds and build your tribe and strengthen your tribe, certainly in this particular time. But we appreciate you guys as always. When you come in, make sure you hit the like button. Certainly as you leave the show tonight, again, hop here, but hop over to Sparta HQ. Give a like over there as well. Consider becoming a subscriber to both networks, as we work hard to have engaging conversation. This is just me and Pete. We come from very different backgrounds, but we come together, black and white, into this gray area where we can have these kind of thought-provoking conversations that hopefully get everybody thinking about, again, how they can be better, certainly in these times. So with that, for myself, I am Mr. Bennett, and he is...
This is Sparta!
The Ghost of Sparta, a.k.a. Peter, a.k.a. Panayotis. This is the Gray Area for everyone. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next week. Good night.